Where is the savings of the subsidy? Where are the gains of it? Where is it impacting? Despite the fact that we remove subsidy, we borrowed more money. Go and check the Euro bonds we're issuing now. They are 1948, 1949, 1951, 1952. I'm definitely sure people like me will not be there. It's our children that will pay it. And so what are we investing that they will use to pay it when it matures? Nothing. Because we are eating that money. If you read the statement of removal of subsidy, it said for us to stop borrowing and the gains of the subsidy to be invested in turning around the economy. In fact, after some few months, they were announcing the gains of the subsidy, just the gains of unification. But I can tell you, even this year, we have overborrowed our target by almost 70% this year alone. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong in borrowing. Any day I'm a businessman. There's nothing wrong in a national borrowing. Most of the countries we want to emulate are in debt. America is 124% of their GDP in debt. China is almost about 80% now. Any other country. They've overborrowed. But where is the debt being utilized? Where is the investment? What is happening to it? That is the critical thing that we need to do. Why is those savings? Where is those savings? Why is it not impacting on our critical area of development, education, health, and pulling people out of poverty? Why is it not impacting? Because those savings and those borrowing are mismanaged. If they are managed properly, you will see a difference. This is a country people used to come, medical tourism to Ibadan, to everywhere. I just gave you an example of a hospital that we can attend to here in Abuja. So we have saved money, we've borrowed money. What are we doing? I go to schools, and every day, I was in school in Ibadan yesterday, and you see the same thing. I give you an example now. WAEC has just announced that they can now only do WAEC exam through using laptop. Hey, which secondary school have laptop here? Which secondary school? One is that the number of people in our secondary school is too low. For a country of over 230 million people, the number of people in our secondary school is supposed to be at least 30 million, but they're under 17 million. Yet, since they announced it, I took time. As at last week, I visited 18 schools. And what I do is that, where is the laptop for the WAEC? None. Where is the laptop for the WAEC? Assuming we decide to provide 15 million children laptop at cost of 100,000 naira each, it's 1.5 trillion. Are you saying this country cannot afford it? With all the waste we are throwing every year. That's what we're saying. So let us know that this money we took from here, this is where it is. That's the only development is all about. It's all rocket science. I've traveled all over the world and I see where people are borrowing. Look at our SMEs. Our SMEs are dying. Small businesses are dying. SME, everywhere in the world, drives 60% of their business. Here is dying. What is their biggest problem? Access to capital and training. Nobody can borrow money at something percent and survive. You go to Indonesia, a comparable country, they are borrowing money at 6%. These are things the savings would have helped us to manage and everything. You're asking people to fast and you're feasting. It will not work. We need to cut down on the rascality, physical rascality we are going through. Deal with this issue of corruption.
Every once in a while, A public figure speaks with a kind of clarity that forces a nation to stop and look in the mirror. That's what Peter Obi did, not by shouting, not by exaggeration, but by exposing a truth we've all felt in our guts. The fuel subsidy system was never about helping Nigerians. It was about helping a small circle drain a country dry. The most painful part of this conversation isn't the corruption itself, it's the scale of it. Obi reminds us that the trillions Nigeria claims to have saved somehow never translate into hospitals that work, schools that function, roads that exist, or a cost of living that actually drops. Think about it for a second. Trillions saved, but nothing changes. How is that not an insult to the people bearing the weight of these policies every single day? For years, the subsidy was sold to us as a lifeline, a way to keep fuel affordable. But Obi's analysis cut deeper. It wasn't a lifeline, it was a pipeline that carried wealth from the pockets of millions into the hands of a few. And when he breaks down the contradictions, the mysterious numbers, the inflated consumption, the imaginary fuel imports, it becomes painfully clear that ordinary Nigerians were never the beneficiaries. And here's the emotional punch. While a few people grew rich from these schemes, families across the country were pushed into poverty. Transport costs doubled, food prices tripled, businesses collapsed. The subsidy thieves didn't just steal money. They stole opportunities, they stole dignity, they stole time from a generation trying to build a future. What Obi exposes is not just corruption, it's betrayal. Because leadership is supposed to protect the people, not siphon from them. And when he calls for transparency, accountability, and honest governance, he's not making a political argument. He's making a human one. He's asking the same question every Nigerian asks in private moments. Why must we suffer this much when our country is rich enough to do better? This is why his voice resonates, not because he has all the answers, but because he refuses to accept the lies we've been conditioned to swallow. By exposing the subsidy corruption for what it was, he challenges us and the government to confront the truth with the same courage. And whether you support him or not, one thing is impossible to deny. Peter Obi is touching a wound every Nigerian feels, a wound caused by decades of greed, injustice, and stolen futures. And until that wound is healed, the country cannot move forward. If you find this video insightful, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop your views or reaction in the comments. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.